My special guest is Ben Bergquam. He's on site in D.C. He's doing this remotely from his camera because he had to catch a flight during our original live broadcast. So thank you very much, Ben, for being here. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure,
it.
man.
I know JJ's
Yeah,
going to miss you because you have a meaner looking face than him on our thumbnail. So, um, so,
yeah.
so the topic is about the border. But if you wouldn't mind, just because you're in D.C. for Steve today, could you give it like a quick update on what happened and what you think might happen, if you don't mind?
Yeah, well, and I just actually I was at the Trump kangaroo court for 3 weeks as well. I did the first 2 weeks when that started, and then I did the last week and a half when that ended, and I was there to see that just absolute injustice, the weaponization of the Justice Department by Joe Biden, and this is a continuation of that. This everything that Steve Bannon's going through right now relates back to the January 6th commission. That if you remember back to when Nancy Pelosi was in charge of the House of Representatives, and we had people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger on there, absolute rhinos. This all relates back to that. And so this judge had originally done a stay of sentence until after Steve Bannon had an opportunity to appeal his case. And today he decided that there was no longer a justification for that stay, and he is remanding Steve Bannon to federal prison on July 1st. Perfect timing to put him away for 4 months, the 4 months leading up to the election. So in theory, outside of good behavior time, he would be getting out on November 1st. So 4 days before the election. It's just disgusting.
We will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never back down. We will never, ever surrender. Because we are Americans, and our hearts bleed red, white, and blue.
What's happening?
Yeah, I pray to God he gets out of it, and if they make him go in, I hope they let him go into a minimum security self-surrender. They don't put him through that bullshit in MCC. I sent you a text.
Yeah.
They better not screw with him and put him in a higher level security, like I'm hearing from some of these J6 guys are getting railroad inside. Just because they're part of that. Not saying he's part of that, but they're just doing everything to destroy us. And when we first met, I was a domestic terrorist. I didn't do anything wrong. So they're going after big figures like Steve and Donald Trump, and what Trump says is they're going after me before they get to you, and he's been right on everything he said.
And think about it. Think about what they can get away with. They're doing this to President Trump. They're doing it to Steve. Obviously, both of them have the financial resources to fight this. You and I and the average American have no chance against this. And if they can do it to President Trump, if they can do it to Steve Bannon, they already obviously did it to Peter Navarro. Then who are we to stop this injustice? All they have to do is create a crime. It's just like the communist, Stalinist, Leninist. Show me the person, and I'll find you the crime. That's really where we're at today. And outside of it's sadly it's pushing us towards. I think we're already in the beginning stages of a civil war, but it's pushing us even sooner towards that. But you look at what Antifa and BLM and now Hamas terrorists are doing, and then pray to God President Trump wins and we start the massive deportations that need to happen. You're going to see illegal aliens in the streets. I mean, it's just what we're heading into is scary times. And on top of that, you've got an injustice department that we no longer have equal protection under the law. And every day that this goes on, we've got a wide open border, except for Joe Biden coming along, pretending that he's doing something now. It's national suicide. And it's really sad to watch, in particular on a day like today, D-Day, where we celebrate 80 years from when some of the most heroic men on the planet stormed the beaches of Normandy. And I was actually there this summer and got to see those beaches, got to see Omaha Beach, and got to walk through the cemetery. And it's just, you think about the men that came before us and the warriors that they were, and the absolute, I hope the language is okay, absolute pussies that we have today. It just makes me sick.
We don't have men like that, right? I mean, part of the problem that we're in this situation, there's very little men standing up, speaking, going to school board meetings. That's what scares me when I tell people when I talk. oh yeah, I got guns. All these people say this crap, right? Send them here, take our guns away. I can't even get these people with the big mouths who say that to
I
stand
know.
up and speak
I
up
know.
for their own children, right?
I
With this
know.
stuff going
I
on.
know.
So that's what really scares me, right? Like I hear, Steve and people, you got to be upbeat, right? Everything you're doing is for a reason. But at the same time, it's like we lost that hunger that the men had, right? The proudness of the country and the passion and the lack of fear, which so many men
Yeah.
have now that I don't know how bad it's going to get. And it's at the point of, it's going to be beyond a point of no return. And there's not enough of us to save the country, and they got to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at guys, the people in this generation, the men in this generation that still have that. It's President Trump, it's Steve Bannon, it's Peter Navarro, it's everybody, it's Alex Jones, it's everybody they're going after to try to destroy, to try to get everybody else who watches it to say, ooh, well, I don't want to be one of those guys. I'll just be one of these pathetic beta males. I'll be the Adam Schiffs of the world who just take it. And, it's just that's what they wanted. But at the same time, I do want to give some hope. I was walking
Right.
around the streets. You saw some of my video of confronting Shifty Schiff
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
and I have another video I posted on social media after that, and I saw more MAGA hats, in particular on young people. I saw 3 different groups: one from Massachusetts, one from Florida, one from Texas. All these young people in Washington D.C. I saw more MAGA hats than I've seen since President Trump was in office. So there is a generation coming up that is unafraid, and they're seeing what's happening. And I just pray it's in time to stop the other side of that, where you have the David Hoggs of the world who want to take everyone's guns except for the criminals, and all of these transgender transvestites that are chopping their dicks off and telling everybody that that's normal and telling the people to celebrate it, in particular on this month. We're really at a pivotal point in our society's history and the future of this nation. And it really comes down to this. So if you're a dad or a mom out there and you're raising up in particular men, I've got 3 girls, I'm raising them to be ladies. But if you're raising boys, raise them to be men, raise them to be courageous, raise them to stand, even if they stand alone. I mean, that's really the solution. That's the only way we save this, is we have a generation of men again who are willing to stand up and fight for what's right.
The left is trying to take that next generation away from us, right? They infiltrated the colleges
Absolutely.
from my generation, right? Which created all these freak leftists that are running corporations now and ruining our country. Social media companies, they own the colleges. They took over ownership of the high schools. Thank God for Charlie Kirk, right? And what he's doing.
Yeah.
They creeped in, and they're partially owning the grammar schools. And what they want to do is turn our men into lemmings, our boys, our children, right? So that we can't get people to fight now from my generation or your generation enough. And if they take control over that, we're done. And then they're turning the military into fruitcakes, is what they're sneaking up to take control of everything. And to me, it's disturbing and it's concerning. To me as a father and as American.
And in particular, you look at, it's not even just the people that are in charge right now. It's not the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars and Rashid Tlaibs and Joe Biden, Barack Obama, communists that they are. It's the next generation that are at the Columbias and the NYUs and the Harvards of the world who are going to be leading this country, who would have no problem throwing us in jail for misgendering them or for using some sort of hate speech because we stand up against BLM and we actually want people to be held accountable. So that's really what concerns me. It's not right now, it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now. But it also, I look at this and I see, there's that circular, it's become a bit of a cliche, but it's, hard times create weak men, create hard times, hard times create strong men, create easy times, create weak men, create hard, and it's just a circular thing. And we're in that time right now where the easy times have created weak men, and we're heading into the hard times, which then create the hard men. And so, or we're in the hard times. It's hard to say exactly where we're at in that. Maybe we're still in the easy times, but it's time for that pendulum to swing back, where the hard times create the hard men, and the hard men whoop the other guys out of society. And that's, we just have to come to that point and say, I don't care if I offend you. I don't care if what I say hurts your feelings. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to stand for what's right. And we're going to defeat these people. We're not just going to compromise with them anymore. We're going to defeat these ideologies.
And
that's my prayer.
the men, the fathers, right, that don't stand up,
Yeah.
they're worried about their jobs. I have a real job, right? This is like my
Yeah.
nighttime thing. I don't want to lose my job, and I have too many politicians that are supposed to be Republicans here. They're worried about the next election, so they're supporting this gender stuff. Oh, well, you know what? I got a job too, buddy. You need to do what's right for you. If you don't stand up and defend your child and simply say porn doesn't belong in my kid's school, how are you going to represent me, my country, and fight against these people? And we got too many of those people that are worried or scared or whatever, and they got to understand if we don't have a country, who cares about your job? Of course I care about my job. I care about taking care of my family and all that stuff. But you know what? I'm older, right? Going through these, I don't want to die, not knowing I tried, and having younger guys like you and other people trying to fight for our children. We have to. And it's frustrating because I sit here and it's like, we have so little time to save and stop this. And we have so little people that are trying to stop this. Another point I want to bring up, the DNC convention. We could talk the border stuff next time, right? It's great because as we started talking about Steve and stuff. So I'm hearing there's going to be 30 to 40,000, supposedly from my police contacts, anarchists and Hamas and Antifa and BLM. 30 to 40,000, Ben. And they're reaching out. So I live in DuPage County, which is the second largest to Cook County. They reached out to the sheriff here and asked him to provide 300 deputies. He said no. Wow. So you think about they're going to all the collar counties and the cities, and I think some of the cities with the leftist, mayors will do something. But imagine if you're a police officer in DuPage County, say, "Oh, Ben, we need you to go into the city," and oh, by the way, if you do something that's not even wrong, you might go to jail for it. But don't worry, put your life on the line.
Screw you guys,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I know it's crazy. I mean, who would want to be law enforcement today, and in particular in a blue city or a blue state? It's you're paying to be abused. It's similar to being a taxpayer in a place like California or even Chicago or Illinois. All of these places are they've become unlivable. And what's ironic about this, I'm going to be there covering it, and in some ways I'm just going to have the popcorn out watching these guys burn themselves. They're going, it's these radical Marxists that are going out against their so-called comrades that aren't comrade enough for them. So you've got these anarchist jihadists who look at the Democrats and say, they're not jihadist enough for me. And now we're going to go burn down our own city and our own convention, which I actually think, I think cynically, I think this is actually the Democrats behind it as well, because they know the only way they have a chance of winning this outside of stealing it in mass. And I don't think they can cover up the amount of theft they would need to do to win this election or steal the election is to replace Joe Biden. And I think this is an attempt basically to try to oust Joe Biden. It's a last ditch effort. But then you look at it and you say, who are they going to put in there? Who else, could campaign and actually have a shot outside of Michelle Obama, who has said she doesn't want to run. So I think, it's just a disaster, but it's almost like what we see with the transgender movement, where you had all of these leftists pushing Title IX for years for women's rights and all this crap, and equal pay for not equal work, and an equal pay for basketball players that nobody wants to watch. Well, all of a sudden you got a bunch of dudes show up and say, "Oh, well, now we're women, we're just going to play." And all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, well, we can't say no to that because we're too bought into this ideology." And I think the same thing's true here. You've got these leftists that have capitulated, have used Antifa, anarchists, these children that have no morals, that never got the spankings they deserve, and they use them for their own political advantage. And now they realize, oh, well, wait, we can't control them. These guys, don't take orders. They just do what they want. They're anarchists from the beginning. They were on our side. Now they're not. What do we do? And so I'm in some ways, I'm excited to see what happens. This is the Democrats' chickens coming home to roost, but it's bad for Chicago. And at the other side of that, my prayer is that you see the inner city rise up, the ones that have seen what's happened under Joe Biden's open borders disaster and the invasion of our southern border and the illegals that are coming in and pouring into Chicago and New York. And I pray that you see the reverse of that, where you have the turning out in red, all of these former Democrats showing up saying that they're for Trump. So that'll be interesting to see the numbers that are actually out there in support of Trump versus the anarchist terrorists.
Yeah, so I think you just heard they're blaming the Republicans in Ohio about this virtual swearing in as the nominee of Biden. Did you hear about that?
No.
they're going to do the virtual swearing in virtually, not at the United Center. It's supposed to be the big deal, right? It's supposed to be the big part of the whole thing when he's going to be their nominee. So they're blaming something about the Republicans in Ohio that they're going to do a virtual swearing, right? Which kind of doesn't make sense. And I think they know there's going to be some big problems there, and they're going to not want to do that, which would be a big magnet for the anarchists. I know that Pritzker is a very egotistical. He doesn't want to give this up, right? Even if he knows there's safety concerns, right? Because this is his baby. Right. He threw in like 100 or so million of his own money. So he's going to not give this up. I also heard this morning that day one, they're going to start doing some activities at McCormick Place. I don't know if you're familiar with Chicago, and McCormick Place is on Lake Michigan. The United Center is, on the near west side of the city. And I'm assuming, since they don't do the swearing in where they got people all around cheering them, right, like they normally do, it's not going to be as relevant doing it. In United Center, they could get surrounded up by all four sides. If you go to McCormick Place, it's kind of a little bit isolated from Lakeshore Drive, and then one side is on Lake Michigan. I wouldn't be surprised if they do some kind of pivot to keep it there at McCormick Place. But something's going to happen, right? Something's going to happen big, and it's going to be crazy. Hey, did you notice my shirt? So
I do. I love that. I was going to say I got to get one of those, man. I'm wearing my obviously my MAGA hat. I stand with Steve, but the other shirt I'm going to switch actually as I go into the airport is Donald Trump did nothing wrong, but I need that shirt too. I love that shirt.
Is Steve's charges? I don't even know. Are they misdemeanors or felonies?
They're misdemeanors.
Oh, so he can't apply to this. I got to get. I love convicted misdemeanors.
I know. So, think about that though. They're putting him in jail for a misdemeanor, something that, as far as I know, no one has ever gone to jail for. The crime. The contempt of Congress.
Except January 6 people for misdemeanors. But
No, for contempt of Congress. Specifically that. And by the way, I said this earlier. I pray someday I get to go testify in front of Congress, in front of these Democrat traitors and some of the rhino traitors. And I will say to their face, I have nothing but contempt for you guys. If you want to put me in jail for having contempt, put me in jail.
That's
and
awesome.
I think most Americans feel that way.
So I started, as I bought this shirt, I thought something dawned on me, because my background, I came out of my concrete closet as an ex-offender recently. And I started Felons for Trump Facebook page yesterday. I talked to Mark Carter.
I love it.
You know Mark Carter, right? He's been with you and stuff. He's an ex-offender too. And I'm going to start working with him and other people.
I love it.
And it's a chance for us. It's a chance for us to connect to the community. And you know how they have Pride Month? I want to start having like once a year Felon Month for people that change their life. If you're going to if you're going to support anal sex and how people have sex, right? Which is basically what that is. You want to be gay, that's fine. But basically, we're going to support the type of sex you have and have a whole month for it.
Yeah, it's sick.
So why don't we have people like that change my life, right? Guys like Tyrone, Mark Carter. And let's have a Pride Month and make it easier for people that were felons that are hiding in the shadows, like 35 years, right? So Donald Trump's got 10 times more felonies than I got. So it's like, let's capitalize on trying.
I love it. I love it.
So I'm glad you took. I know you're busy. You're running all over the place. I appreciate.
Yeah, I got to jump, but no, I'm happy to come on, man.
Thank you, and be safe, man, for your family.
Oh, and stay tuned. We didn't get into the border stuff, but our next episode of Law and Border will be coming out next Saturday. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Another good one.
Yep, they're all good. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.